Hi, I'm Larry,
I'm Gret.
I'm Christy.
and welcome to Dangerous Drag Queens and Other Deviants.
A podcast about the outrageous and sometimes dark world of drag, gender, and sexual identity, and how communities facing stigmatization are making a positive impact just by living their lives out loud.
Brought to you by Virtual Arts.
Hi, I'm Larry.
I'm Christy.
And I'm Gret. Welcome back to Dangerous Drag Queens and Other Deviants.
This week we have a really wonderful, crazy guest. His name is Johnny Rozsa, and he has been a friend of mine for many, many years, a photographer, a drag queen many years ago, friend to the stars, world traveler. I mean, Johnny is just, he's amazing. Hey, let's bring him on, all right? How are you, sweetheart?
Very good, very good. How lovely to see you. Really nice.
How lovely to see you. And I love the wallpaper that you have in your apartment.
Is she gorgeous, that wallpaper?
Yeah.
Schumacher.
And these are your paintings up here, right, Johnny?
That's a painting of me by a friend of mine called Scooter LaForge.
Ah,
Amazing.
He loves to paint me. In fact, we used to meet every single day. This is about 10 years ago. We used to meet every day. He lived around the corner from where I lived. And we'd go to different cafes and he would draw me. I've got books of drawings of me from like years, like about 300 or 400 drawings.
Whoa, wow.
Amazing, I know. And he's a really great artist.
how wonderful. I wanted to ask you some things. You said yesterday that you're going to have an art show in Morocco, in Tangier.
We can jump around, but I was a photographer. I've always been a photographer. And when I came to America 30 years ago, my photography, everything changed. It went digital. I moved country from England to the States, to California. And I just felt I never felt comfortable in America being a photographer for some reason. And I came here because I was living in England. I was very famous and successful in England. But I wanted to move from England, from being on a small island off the coast of Europe. And I wanted to come be the new Herb Ritz in LA.
Mm.
And it wasn't going to work out that way because I never became the new Herb Ritz. And everyone in LA was like, who are you? Whatever. And so ever since I moved here, my sort of photographic career has gone from there to over there. And actually, I began in the last maybe 10 years, I've been writing a book about my grandmother. She was a woman that lived in Czechoslovakia, and she had a wonderful family. She had 2 daughters, and a lovely husband, and a big family. And they were all put into Auschwitz, and they all perished except for her. And she, when the war ended, she found that my mother, who was living with her husband in Iraq during the war, had moved to Kenya, and my grandmother found her one surviving daughter. And it's a story about survival. It's really amazing. But then I also paralleled it with my story of survival. And it's a very moving book. Anyway, I did the book while I was not taking photographs. And then I started thinking, oh, I want to do some drawing. And I was invited to join what I call the Fairy Circle, which are these about 10 older, like my age, but not as beautiful or gorgeous as me, but these older, wonderful artists that have all known each other. And I call it the Fairy Circle. We'd just go every Sunday, we'd just draw a naked guy. There was a guy in charge and he'd book models and we just draw. And I just loved learning how to draw a human, drawing perspective, drawing. And it wasn't classes, it was just practice. And in that group, there's a guy called Chuck Nitzberg, who's the most wonderful artist. And I said to Chuck, I want to go to classes and learn. I want to learn techniques. And he said, come, I'd do a class at the Art Students League up on 57th Street. Anyway, I've been drawing my little watercolors of girls and ladies with umbrellas and 1940s, basically drag pictures. And there's this woman in Spain who started following me and loved them. And she has a gallery in Tangier in Morocco. I met her and she said she's giving me a summer show in Morocco this summer of 2025, 19.
Wow.
So I've got this wonderful, fabulous show. Do you want to see a couple?
Yes,
Of course.
absolutely. It's one of the things that social media is so wonderful about, is that it connects you with people that you may have
Yeah.
connected with.
These I'm all taking with me when I go. This is a woman holding a pomegranate.
Oh,
Oh, she's beautiful. Look at the colors.
I know. I did all Moroccan themed. This is a beautiful boy.
Oh, wow.
That's from a photograph I took.
gorgeous. Lovely,
I
John. And those are their watercolor?
with a camel
Oh, yeah. That's the star of that picture.
and a good lady with a funny hat. Anyway,
Oh, I just love it.
and they love them at the galleries. I think it's going to be a sellout show.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Summer show. It's amazing. So all the tourists and everyone. No, everyone wants to go to Morocco and bring something back, but they don't want to bring a huge Moroccan table. They want to just bring a little thing they can roll up.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, Johnny, you've been spending a lot of time in Morocco and in Northern Africa.
My best friend is this guy called Veer Grenny, and Veer, Veere, Grenny, Grenney. He's a really world famous inferior desecrator, I call him. But he's the top of the in the world, I would say.
Wow.
And he's been my friend for about 50 years. We never had sex, but best friends. We just get on. And he's absolutely, everything about him is absolutely opposite of everything about me. He's got no hair, I've got hair. He's got blue eyes, I've got brown eyes. Everything's different. I dress funny, he dresses very conservative. But he's the nicest person. And we just get on. We've always got on really well. And we always love to travel together. Anyway, we've been going to Tangier for 25 years. I found a beautiful little cottage that was for sale. And he bought the cottage. He's made it into this 5-bedroom palace with books about it. It's a wonderful, with a huge garden. And it overlooks the Straits of Gibraltar. You can see Gibraltar just over there. It's amazing.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Sounds wonderful. So, this is a podcast called Dangerous Drag Queens and Other Deviants, and you're definitely a deviant. One of my favorite deviants, Johnny. Always have been. That's you. And I know that you also have a past as a drag queen. So I wondered if you could talk with us a little bit about doing drag in what you would consider your early years.
Yeah. As a photographer, I always caught myself just posing for them to get inspired, rather than them just sitting there, which a lot of people don't like being photographed.
Yeah.
So it's always like expressing myself. And then as a young person, when I was like 20, going to college in London, I used to wake up in the morning and look at my face, and I was always so white and pasty. So even when I was like 18 or 19 or 20, I'd always put a bit of pink on there and a bit of a little gloss here and there. And I always felt that I'm a big person. I've got big hands. I've got a big head. I'm just big boned. And so I loved having big hair. Inspired when I first moved to LA, when I wasn't working as much, I thought I've got to do something. So I would just work on this persona, who at the time I called Gaza Strip. I've since changed my name,
Gaza.
Gaza Strip, to
Wow.
Guru Danger. And I got this job on Santa Monica Boulevard, right opposite the Formosa Cafe. There was a little gay bar there. And it was my stomping ground for my training as a performer. I used to go there every Thursday night. I had to do 3 different outfits and 3 different songs, a little performance. And I loved it, but I didn't really realize, oh, that was the training ground that really taught me how difficult it is being a fucking drag queen. It's hard. It's really hard. You've got to be a hairdresser. You've got to be a makeup artist. You've got to learn songs. You've got to be a performer. You've got to get outfits together. It's a nightmare. It's incredible. It's really tough. So anyone that does drag well, I really admire.
Yes. Yes, it does. It takes a lot of work because there are so many components into it to be good. And of course, today drag is so different because they spend thousands and thousands of dollars on all this odd makeup that I don't know, they look more like creatures to me from somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I loved the old drag days in Los Angeles.
When I first moved to New York, I got a job as a coat check girl in a drag bar, which was really catered a lot to straight people who just wanted to come and enjoy, haha, laugh at drag queens sort of thing.
Right.
And as a coat check girl, they were the main girls that performed. I wouldn't say they were that sort of not very good, but they were okay. It wasn't Lady Bunny or anything like that. And then I did one or two songs as a coat check girl, just come up. And the funny thing is that I'm the same person as I am in drag or out of drag. But whenever I was in drag, especially working in some kind of environment like that, men would just hit on me unbelievably so much.
Really?
It was so incredible.
Yeah. I think that men really in the straight world are very attracted to that. There's an unusual quality. There's a thing about them that loves that guy in drag.
I don't mind. It's lovely.
No, it's the secret. It's the secret thing. Are you enjoying New York City?
Yeah, I think New York is really amazing. It's changed a lot in the last 20 years.
Sure.
People come here to make money and then they leave.
Hmm.
It's lost its sort of edge. It's not dangerous. It's not sexy, but it's got an energy that's incredible. I think the biggest mistake I ever made in my life was leaving England, like I described earlier, and coming to America, because I don't really understand Americans. I understand English people much more than I do Americans. But on the other hand, it's got so much to offer. And I really love the country of America as well. I love driving cross country.
Very beautiful. Have you ever thought about going back to live?
I thought about it, but I don't really. I'm 75 years old, and I don't think I've got the means to start all over again.
Of course. And you travel a lot.
Yeah, in fact, on Monday, I'm going to London because there's an exhibition at the Tate Gallery, and they're having an exhibition about an artist who did a lot of drag, funnily enough, called Lee Bowery. Lee died in the early 90s, and I photographed him a lot. And anyway, they're having an exhibition about his clothing and his things that he did, which is amazing. And I've got a few things in it. So on Monday, I'm going there just for the opening, going to stay a few days, see a few friends, and come back.
Oh, what an honor. Yeah. And you have some photos. I didn't know this. I was reading, I don't know, one of your beautiful biographies online or something, but you have some photos in the National Gallery, the Portrait Gallery.
National Portrait Gallery, I do. I have about, I think they've got 24 pictures of mine there.
Wow.
They've been really wonderful to me. I went there last summer, and they had a photograph of mine of Sade, the singer.
Oh, yeah.
And they wanted me to come and see it hanging in the gallery. And that was wonderful.
Johnny, who was one of your favorite people that you photographed besides me?
Did you photograph Larry?
No, I don't think.
Oh.
I don't know.
I thought that's a photo I'd love to see.
Who did I like best?
Who-
I put a book out. I came out about 12 years ago of my photographs of some of my celebrity photographs.
Yeah.
Called Untouched.
Mm.
And in that, there's pictures of, I think, for me, photographing Tina Turner was wonderful because she was such a great person. And she introduced me to the kind of Buddhism that I practice. So that was 40 years ago. I loved meeting her. She was a great person. Everyone's different. There's so many.
Yeah.
I like some of the old girls, like Jane Russell. I love photographing her.
Oh, wow.
I loved her.
we really got on really well. She's very Republican and quite straight. She was living in Santa Barbara. And I went to her house and she was wearing this big chunky sweater. And I said, have you got anything else? She said, come up to my bedroom and I'll show you. So I went up to her bedroom and to her dressing room. And there was this beautiful, big, huge, big bed and a picture of a sort of panther crawling above the bed like this. And then she showed me her dresses. And there was this big leopard print muumuu. So I said, why don't you sit on the bed, put that on, sit on the bed or lie on the bed, and the panther and the you and that's the sort of, oh yeah, good idea. So she gets into this couch, lies on the bed, and it's such an amazing photograph.
Wow.
Because it was just fun. She was nice. She was cool.
Yeah. Seemed like she was willing to go with what you were.
And that's what else I hate about taking pictures is now everything's controlled by managers and publicists. You can't do that. You can't do that. You've got to look like that. You've got to have the lips like that. It just cramps your style.
Sure. It seems like that moment would have never happened in this day and age. It would have been a meeting with 5 people before they approved that one idea.
Yeah, everything's done by committee. I can't stand it.
These magical moments when you meet with somebody and you're able to have that kind of moment of creativity leads to that because you're extraordinarily creative.
I can get things out of people very easily for some reason. People trust me.
I know that you were talking about Tina Turner, and of course, I practice the same kind of Buddhism that you do, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism. And it's been so amazing for me, and I know it has been for you as well. And are there many drag queens in SGI? I don't know.
I think the wonderful thing about SGI is that it accepts no one's judging. A lot of people are borderline, not sure if they want to change their gender or if you're gay, it's fine. I've never had any problem.
Yeah. It's kind of, as you were saying, you can be whoever you want. And there's like a lot of people who are very unique. It's one of the reasons why I love New York, but also even more, I find London to have these kind of unique creatures in London.
I think British people have an incredible sense of humor and an incredible sense of wit. Every Christmas for centuries, there have been pantomimes where there's always a famous person who dresses up as an old fat woman. And it's pantomime, and it's funny, and it's people laughing at them. And there's all these sort of Dick Emery. There's a wonderful guy called Kenneth Williams. He used to do this radio show every Sunday in England. And the whole country used to just tune in. And he'd be complete, and this is in the 50s, be a complete and utter, oh, Queen, oh, there's all of that. And people would know that it was that. Being gay was illegal, but it was just everybody in the whole street, families would just gather around their radio to listen to Kenneth Williams. He's so witty and funny.
Yeah.
And English people have always accepted eccentrics.
Yes.
Quentin Crisp, Boy George.
Yeah.
They've always accepted weird quirks, and it's part of the culture. Whereas here, it's a Protestant country. You know, you go to Brazil, which is a Catholic country, it's supposed to be all Catholic. But it's outrageous. Carnival, hello.
Everybody's having sex with everybody down there.
Yeah.
Yes, America is so conservative.
It's so Protestant.
It really is.
Shocking. It's surprising. And that's why this right and left and anyway, don't want to go there. I want to tell you about one thing. Can I?
Oh, please.
Of course.
When I'd finished my little time at that Santa Monica Boulevard Club, everyone thought that I was very sick and dying. And so I decided to have a sort of get everyone together. And I rented a bar in Soho in London. And I decided to perform 2 songs. And I'd met at that bar in Santa Monica, I'd met this Spanish guy who was an incredible dress designer. He always made me these dresses, some things with like wires in the hem, so the dress would always be flaring out. And It was fantastic. And anyway, I decided to have a party in London because I was living in LA. Have a party in London, say hi to all my friends, just do it all at once. And Ozzy Clark was this famous designer. He wanted to dress me. Manola Blahnik wanted to do my shoes. And it was amazing. I had amazing wig and I had fabulous hair, friend of mine who did hair. And I sang this song by a black girl, a singer called Tamia. I did this song in this wonderful dress, fabulous hair, called You Put a Move on My Heart.
Mm.
And I have some pictures of that look, which was so great. Can you see that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Look at that hourglass.
Yeah, very hourglass with a sort of, very fishtail situation. It was such a fabulous thing, but I never had a particular look. I always like to have big hair to compensate for my big head, long nails to compensate for these big things, high shoes, long legs, and I had very good legs. So I always used to show my legs. And this is an outfit that, who's the guy that does Cher's clothes? Bob Mackie.
Bob
Yeah.
Mackie, yeah.
That's a Bob Mackie outfit.
Wow. Oh, I could spot it a mile away with that headdress.
It
My
was
goodness.
fantastic. So that was some of my looks from those.
And how long did you live in Kenya?
Pardon?
You grew up in Kenya, didn't you? Or you were?
Kenya, I was born there in 1949 and I lived there till 1970. No, I lived there for 20 years. Yeah.
And how was that culture in terms of, was there any drag there? Were you a young gay man coming out there, or?
I didn't even come out, I never was in. Yeah. When I went to school, I always had lots of boys.
Yeah.
My parents sent me to a school in England when I was 13, an old English boarding school, an old boys' school. It's
Right.
400 boys. And of course, in the dark room in the photo class, one boy.
Yes.
And I felt awkward at first, but I must say I got used to it very quickly because I was very pretty and very popular in the late 60s. And so when I went back to Kenya to finish up my higher thing, I went to an all boys school, but I was the only white boy in an African school. And there was a couple of boys that Mark Githere is a Kikuyu boy. We used to see each other. In fact, when I came to college in England, he came and visited me in college. And then I met this Arabic boy called Mohammed, who we were together for 3 years. And he came and lived with me in England for a year.
Wow.
Yeah. So there is that culture, but it's illegal. But
It's soon to be illegal in America.
you can't stop it. You can't if you're gay.
Of course, you cannot stop it. How do you, in thinking about the world today, I know we don't really want to talk about politics, but in terms of gay culture, what do you feel about the way the drag culture is expanding in New York? Do you see a big change in the 20 years that you've been there?
Yeah. I also think there's two levels. When New York drag culture was coming up, like when RuPaul, for example, was coming up, where I lived before I moved here was on 7th Street, and at the end of my street, on half a block away, was the Pyramid Club.
Yeah.
And in Tompkins Square, I lived on Tompkins Square, every year, Bunny would put on Wigstock
Right.
across the street from my apartment. And so I really got to know and become friendly with some really, I wouldn't call them drag queens as such, but people like Joey Arias, to me,
Yeah.
I think Joey I wouldn't call him a drag queen. He's an artist. He's a character.
He is, yeah.
So I love people like that. There's incredible eccentrics. But then when we have Gay Shane Day, it starts off at Tompkins Square and it walks over to the West Village, and there are all these tacky drag queens that I didn't find the description that you were saying, Larry, about the people that with bad wig and bad clothes and horrible makeup. There's that. I like it, but I don't really admire it. I think drag should be an uplifting,
I do too.
yeah, and it's not a joke. It
Right.
should be glamorous.
I think that what you're saying though is, but no, and not that people today don't do fabulous, respectful drag for make women look fantastic, but really in the day, everybody was trying to be fantastic in drag as a woman. They were especially trying to pass, but they wanted to be gorgeous. They wanted that whole feeling. Today, it just is this smeared lipsticks, bad eyeshadow kind of thing that is to me is not really drag.
Thrift clothes. I don't mind thrift clothing at all, but yeah, I like to make things better than make things worse. I love somebody like RuPaul's show. There's that woman called Jinx Monsoon.
Yes.
Jinx Monsoon is a talent. Is
Yeah.
funny. She's a comedian. And she just sold out to Carnegie Hall.
I
Yes,
know. I saw that. Yeah, that's amazing.
amazing. So there's certain people that I really love and I'm very inspired by, but I don't want to see some fight pulling off each other's wigs. And it's fun, but it's not the same.
Yeah, now I understand that. I understand that it's a world that has changed so much, and I do long for those places that you're talking about that you were on the edge. There don't seem I think because everything is so in our face today and there's so much online, the live experiences that we used to have in terms of all of that, it just don't exist anymore.
I've never been on Grindr or anything like that, but I don't want to because I want the excitement of what I was describing in the shop window. I can't tell a person from his picture online.
No.
You know.
No, and also really inviting somebody to your house that you don't know today is probably not a very good idea.
The world is different now. The
World.
phone has changed everything.
Yes. Johnny, how can we reach out to you? How can people see what you do? Is your art for sale anywhere? Please, what can we do to inform people about anything that you might want us to?
What I really want to do is sell my art,
Yes.
my paintings. And if people want to see my photographs, they can always go to Amazon and get my book, which is called Untouched. Yeah. It's a nice coffee table book. I'm very proud of it.
Lovely. Johnny, it's so wonderful to catch up with you again, sweetheart.
Thank you. Thank you for thinking of me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Lovely to see you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Isn't he fabulous?
Wonderful. Just wonderful. Amazing.
But to have 25 photos at the National Portrait Gallery.
It's spectacular. It's such an accomplishment.
It's just
Right. Oh, I think there's 23, 25, or whatever, however he said. Not, oh, I think there's one. Yes, I have one there and I'm very proud, but I think there's maybe 25.
and he's a lovely human being.
Yeah. And unabashedly himself. You can just tell.
If you don't like it, okay, I get it.
A very cool upbringing too. It just,
Yeah.
he's talking about these multicultural influences on his life, which most of us can only dream of. We grew up in one little tiny spot, one little tiny state, and
Yeah, I know.
the influence at that time in your life is so valuable. I can't imagine that.
Has a real worldly perspective. That's really the thing that shapes people that I find so fascinating is I think I had an extraordinary life because I grew up in Illinois and moved to LA and moved to New York and then I see these people who were young and being sent to boarding schools and I mean it amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, you guys, that was a really cool conversation. I know I wasn't available to record it with you, but it was fascinating to watch. So thank you.
Wasn't he amazing? Thanks for introducing us to him, Larry. Such a really unique person and such a wealth of stories and wisdom.
Yes, he has an absolute determined viewpoint about life.
Thanks. Larry. I actually have a question. Being this is the first podcast I think we're recording, where you're overseas, over on the other side of the pond, and I'm wondering if you've noticed anything recently there in the terms of their view of America and Americans, especially in light of like the tariffs that just all dropped.
People are very reserved in Portugal. I look around this group of people, and I believe that in maybe 1985 or something, they came out of a fascist regime, and it was a very closed country. I really look at a lot of the photographs from that time back then, and I think that they were extremely affected by that. And I know you asked me about if they're saying anything like "you weird American" or anything, but my concern is that what this does to young people, all of the kinds of things that are going on right now, it will affect them, because this is going into their psyche and into their minds. Their lives are being formed around somebody who just is so careless with what they're doing. So and seeing how people here have been so affected, I think that it takes generations, actually, when you have this kind of person who's leading you, it takes generations to actually move on from it.
Sure. And kind of undoing and fixing the things that it's not as it's kind of quicker to undo than it is to kind of build back up once you're on
Sure.
the other side of it.
Sure.
Yeah, because even though, I think that there's been a lot of mental molding over the past 10 years, but what it will take to get out of it it will be much longer. Absolutely. And we're not even in the middle of it yet. So
I was gonna say we're just sort of staring over the precipice and starting to slip, so
about getting out of it. But the one thing I will have to say is that I never really ever went to Europe thinking, I'm an American. I was always happy to go back home, but I think I'm going to talk with a British accent from now on, because I really don't want people to know that I'm an American, because either they think you're an ass,
right.
or you're, I don't know what they think, because I don't know that people know what to think, because they have to change the way they've thought about Americans.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah. And
Right.
it's always been that kind of running joke of like, when you're overseas, you pretend you're Canadian, right? I keep talking about that
Right.
with my son. I'm like, let's practice our Canadian accents. It's a boot and a boot.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm laughing because there's no other response besides tears or hysterical laughter.
Yeah, or listening to Johnny Rocha speak with his British accent and tell us all that the world is just fine, because in a way it is, but it just so isn't. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Join us next time for Dangerous Drag Queens and Other Deviants. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Dangerous Drag Queens and Other Deviants, as well as Virtual Arts on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. And be sure to check us out at www.virtualartsproductions.org for all our latest projects.
And if you like what you hear, please share it with a friend. That's all for now. Keep living dangerously and on your own terms.